Hi, I'm Mikki Daniel, and you're watching Western Swing Rules with Robert Huston.
How is it that a 19-year-old young lady came to perform, play, love, and promote Western Swing?
It's a loaded question. It's a good question though, because as we understand, people my generation and today's society don't typically listen to this kind of music, which is a shame. But I have to say I'm very thankful for my parents and the way my parents have raised me. They were always very considerate about the things that they allowed their kids to watch and be entertained by growing up. And so I grew up watching Roy Rogers and Gene Autry and Tex Ritter and Ken Maynard and The Lone Ranger and all these great black and white TV shows and movies from, even the 20s through the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. And when you are raised on watching those kinds of things, those are the type of people that you are mentored by, and those are the type of people you want to be like. So I think watching Roy Rogers and Gene Autry is my biggest inspiration for, going back to roots music, because they always sang cowboy stuff and they yodeled, and so I wanted to learn all their songs. And when you're in that kind of world, the cowboy world, it's a natural segue into the Western swing world, because the two genres are so similar, and the people that enjoy them do both. So it didn't take very long after discovering Western music and the cowboy lifestyle that we were already living, but that we were actually becoming entertained by, for that to influence my music as well. And I started off playing piano, but by the time I was 11 and watching Roy and Gene play their guitar and sing, I was like, forget the piano. I want a guitar. So Mom didn't let me quit piano. I had to do both. So about 13 years old, I joined the Cowtown Opry, which is a organization dedicated to preserving, promoting, and performing cowboy and Western heritage music. And while I was there, I met two ladies. One was Devin Dawson and one was Janet McBride. And between the two of those, learning Western swing was just a natural course of, the progression of, my musical talent and ability and, the direction that it headed. So when I finally heard and was really influenced by Western swing, I was probably about 13 by the time that took hold, and there's no going back, because Western swing is that kind of genre that if you think you don't like it, it's because you haven't heard it. When you hear it, you love it, and you want more of it. I have never, ever met anybody who disliked it after they'd heard it. There's kids that are like, well, can you hear it on the radio? No. Well, then it's not cool. Says who? Just because you can't hear it on the radio doesn't mean it's not cool. It just means there's not enough people who know about it. So.
That is fantastic. Well, tell me about your guitar work. You play what type of guitar?
Well, this is a Regal Bobcat archtop guitar. It was made in the 1930s. I'm not exactly sure when. It's relatively new to me. I've had it for about a year. But it's a traditional swing archtop guitar. This guitar is not built for anything but chunking out rhythm guitar, and being that soul beat setter for a trio or a quartet, and to play those chunky chords. And I was 13 when I started learning to play rhythm guitar. And when you play rhythm guitar, you can play rhythm on any kind of guitar. But it was always my dream to own an archtop, and so having one now is really exciting, because I played a Martin for a long time. I still play a Martin, but when I can play swing rhythm on an archtop guitar, especially one that's got this many miles under her belt, it's a good day.
Her belt.
Yeah, this is Bobby, my Bobcat.
Cool. Okay, so if there were people out there who are watching this who had never experienced Western swing or didn't know anything about it, how would you describe it to them, and what would you do to encourage them to experience it?
That's kind of a tough question. How do I describe Western swing? Western swing to me is a type of music that incorporates a heck of a lot of jazz framing. The basis to the structure of the songs is very influenced by jazz. It's not straight up jazz. It's influenced also by swing, by blues, by Americana and folk music, and some cowboy stuff. So there's a lot of different influences that create what we call Western swing. But you kind of just have to hear it to know what it sounds like. But it is always danceable. Western swing is dance music. You know, that's number one thing. If you can't dance to it, it ain't Western swing. Well, I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and I go to town just to hear the band. I know all the songs that the cowboys know about the big corral where the doggies go. I learned them all off of the radio. I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, and I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande, and I learned to ride before I learned to stand. I am a riding fool who is up to date. I know every trail in the Lone Star State. I ride the range in my Ford V8. I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, and I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande. From the Rio Grande, I learned to ride before I learned to stand. I am a riding fool who is up to date. I know every trail in the Lone Star State. I ride the range in my Ford V8. I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, I-yippee-I-O-Ki-A, I-yippee, I-yippee-oh, I-yippee-oh-Ki-A.